Welcome, everybody, to RPG Limit Break's impromptu playback of the 1999 NLCS. This will be Game 5. I'm Rivers McCown, joined with Flurry14. Say hello, Flurry.
It's difficult to say hello when I'm having flashbacks.
Oh, wait, this is the Fabul Gauntlet. Sorry, that happens later. My bad. But yeah, this is number 2 seed penguin8r versus the number 31 keddril, who played in against Demarin in the play-in round. Penguin is our Highway to the Zima Zone champion. He went undefeated in Swiss, and this is his first test of the bracket.
Yeah, penguin8r's definitely one of the more well-known runners here, having accomplished quite a bit, winning Highway to the Zima Zone, placing high in the first one as well, doing well in World Series of Free Enterprise. keddril has also been around quite a while. keddril's first run on SRL for Free Enterprise was in July of 2018, so keddril's been around a minute. So do not underestimate keddril at all. This could be a super close race, especially given the difficulty spike that we're going from the Swiss flags to the bracket flags.
Octavio Dotel would have struck out Andrew Jones. I believe that in my heart. Also, this is already a start, so we could come out of this with fairly light damage pretty early, depending on who the second character is. This could be a little bit of a struggle. Or we could find a good summon right away, and then it'll be pretty easy.
Yeah, regardless of what happens, unlike Carlos Beltran, these racers are definitely going to come out swinging. And we see the second character is Tella. So that opens up quite a bit. What it does not open up is our offense. We're still going to see probably a fair amount of looting here, looking for ideally a dancing dagger or some amount of JA items. Or if the runners are wanting to try to get a shortcut here, maybe an immediate trip up to Hobbs to see who the character is, to see if we get bailed out.
Or we could go to the Watery Pass and just exit out of that and get a lot of loot. That's on the table as well. Let's see what we get for the objectives, as keddril was our first one onto that screen.
Oh, there's Moon.
Moon acquired. Megas Tella Pan.
Well, it doesn't give us any new character information, but definitely with 2 moon objectives, we may see a trip to the moon sooner rather than later, and also a D-Machine grind is definitely in the cards in order to get this team up to the levels that they would need to do that without Sirens being available. We do see Cecil along with the Kaipo guards in Baron, so as if we weren't incentivized enough to do ordeals, it's almost certainly going to happen sooner rather than later.
I enjoyed the part where Penguin started looting and he got the exit spell. That is a Sylph, though. That will help immensely once Radia gets one fight, because the Sylph summon, due to a bug in the programming, doesn't cost any MP at all to use, so you get that off radio, you're usually pretty golden for the early game. You just got to survive that one fight.
Yep, Watery Pass is penguin8r's dog this game. Man, that was some good looking out right there by the Watery Pass. All we really got to do, like you mentioned, is just get past that first fight. We might see Antlion be a little more prioritized just because the fight's a little easier. Sometimes you might get one of the bosses that hurts you a little bit by not giving you the amount of experience required. Viridia doesn't need much to hit that 25 MP barrier. So we might see Antlion first, but I mean, an early hops check, just hopefully get a character that can power us through those first few encounters until we get Sylph up and going will help. Also, that Hourglass 2 is going to really come in handy if we run into a hook seed and our runners need to find a way to grind.
So we saw Tella in bed. Tella can be many places. That also could mean that the Sand Ruby is required, as Tella is one of our objectives. We got a Thunderclaw and a Charm Claw approaches from Penguin as he ducks into the Kaipa weapon shop here. Both of our runners picking up that Sylph early, so not really a huge advantage either way just yet.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to see the differences, especially in this flag set, as to which shops you tend to check. Armor shops in the overworld not really going to net you a whole lot, whereas you still kind of want some of the standard stuff like a dancing dagger, claws for Yang,
That is a vanilla.
maybe a particular good bow. And hey, is this even?
That
Whereas
is a
when we go
vanilla
underground,
Demus. So
yeah, that's good. That's gonna be really nice. It's also gonna tell us pretty quickly if we get a hook seed, we don't have to worry about a rogue demist possibly costing our runners. Uh, and then it also looks like Penguin8r is looting mist. Will probably be double dipping at some point in time.
That Bahamut, actually, you could be a little cheeky and take that fight right now so you can get Sylph immediately if you wanted to. The Bahamut and the Waterfall, I should say. But keddril deciding not to do that just yet. Penguin with that knowledge now, I wonder just when he's going to pop off and get that Mist Dragon taken care of.
Yeah, we don't really have the power for it right now. I mean, granted, it's not going to do a lot of damage to you, but it's still 800 or so HP, and right now this team is going to have difficulty doing any sort of damage whatsoever. I am interested to see, we started with the Murasame. We've seen 3 characters. Obviously, if Edge was there, we wouldn't see him yet. Do either of our runners decide to sell the Murasame to try to get a leg up on shopping and maybe turning down the looting a little bit?
Well, we've seen no sign of them so far, although they hadn't stopped Penguin from buying, what was it, Thunderclaw and Charmclaw, in case his boy Yang came up to play, so that could be a thing as well.
And it does call himself the certified Yang master for a reason. keddril is going to be the first runner to go into, well, to take on any kind of boss fight. I didn't see any of the particular weapons, and going through the inventory, I don't see a lot of J items either, so might be relying on that Blitz Whip, but it could be a protracted fight in the Antlion.
Well, we do have that 1 Stardust, and that is kind of a trump card for keddril right now because Penguin has not been to Baron yet. I believe he does not have that one.
Yep, that'll do it. Stardust will hit for right around enough. Might be a little short, but at that point, even Tell is level 1 magic will catch up there. Although, looks like Penguin8r did just get a Gaia Drum from our favorite town, Silvera, so that's going to kind of make up the difference there. Also finding Mute Arrows, so that's going to help quite a bit.
Yeah, keddril looting has found a Dragoon armor, which is really nice for those flag sets, as well as a Charm Rod in Antlion Cave. So that'll be big magic to help get that Sylph fully online. And there's a Gaia helmet as well, so really well set to become damage early on after this one fight.
Yeah, one nice thing about the Sylph Summon is that you don't have to worry about some of the bosses you can't use magic on because they have Reflect on. They'll cast Wall for whatever reason, depending on their script. Sylph ignores Wall. The only downside to really overuse is the Sylph Summoning is that the cast animation time is really long. Now, with this team right now, we don't have any other alternatives, so it's just Sylph until you drop. Although we'll say we do have a Dancing Dagger in Mysidia, so that'll also help a little bit, at least for the first fight. We'll see if Penguin8r decides to change that out for a Charm Rod to prioritize Sylph.
They've got a Mom Bomb here in Antlion Cave. This is kind of an interesting fight, actually, because Rydia can survive this pretty simply, but it's the question of, are you going to throw your Stardust right away, or are you going to wait till it explodes?
Yeah, from a time perspective, this is one of the worst bosses keddril could find here, because you can't use that. If you use that Stardust right away, like you said, those bombs there's gonna be 6 of them, and that's your main AOE. And it looks like Penguin8r is going to show us who the Mist Summon is. It looks like it's Cockatrice, so not terribly useful unless you need an early single cast stone, but it has its niche uses.
Listen, those end guards are going down.
we got plenty of ammunition for them. One thing that Penguin8r, I've seen him do this in a couple races, is that especially with Iridia start, we'll actually use the save point here and then take the hops fight right there. This way he gets the looting in. If it's something good beforehand, you'll actually get to use it. Downside is sometimes if you do that, you're committing a few.
Oh baby, it's his favorite. It's his favorite. Here we go.
Yeah,
that is a Yang on the mountain.
It's a Yang, and it looks like that's a Milon, and we've got the tools to deal with either of them.
The looting also helping out, as our tracker Mechalink pointing out. He found a Grimoire. He also found a Zeus Rage on that west side. So a lot of the early J items that are a little overpowered, Penguin's looting has picked up a lot more of them than keddril has so far.
Yeah, Milon Z, probably the flavor of Milon you'd like to see at this stage of the game, since we can abuse its weakness with both Cure 2s and a Fire Claw. keddril, on the other hand, it did decide to wait, got the managed to survive the explode, and immediately tosses a Stardust. Now, one downside to I'm pretty sure 5 levels is enough, but this is one of the spots where you will get less experience than expected. So we'll see if that gets keddril to 25 MP. I imagine it will. No key item though, just a Protect Ring. Good defense, but not progression.
Yeah, with this early party though, Protect Ring, not at all what you're opposed to seeing, especially if this happens to be a hook seed. You run into something going nasty there, like that can help out a lot.
Yeah, it's a good safety for ordeals too. There's about 4 or 5 bosses that can absolutely tank your run if they're in the wrong spot. So Penguin8r gets that Hobbs cleared, now has Yang, is likely to head immediately into Antlion Cave and take on that Bomb. Has a little more ammunition at this point than keddril did, so will probably be a little faster.
And keddril, of course, retracing the steps of the penguin. Only this time, keddril has that Sylph Summon online entirely. So maybe a quicker Milon Z fight in return. Who knows?
Yeah, I remember the first time I fought Milon Z with the Sylph spell, and I wouldn't cast it because I was worried that him being undead would actually take a life from my entire party and wipe it. But that is not the case with the Sylph Summon, and we see keddril did in fact get enough MP, so one cast might.
Putting the Charm Rod on Tella there, that's interesting. That's a hot take right there.
Yeah, that's definitely a little surprising, because Tella doesn't really have any spells that are going to benefit from an increase of a magic stat. I mean, the Fire 1 here, it'll help, but it's also, if you're doubling Fire 1, it's still Fire 1. Whereas Sylph is going to do, with all the magic boosting, upwards of 1,000 damage. So, yeah, you're right. We'd like to see that switched up.
So we've got Penguin saving in Antlion Cave here. keddril actually ahead on kind of the run of play right now. Has both of the early game things done, but also has done way less looting and way less shopping than Penguin does.
Yeah, Penguin does tend to do a little more shopping and getting that all the shopping and looting over with early, taking the approach of, let's see what I've got and then plan the next 3 or 4 fights. Alright, so I guess the next interesting question would be, does keddril decide to skip Fabul? Well, no, keddril is not going to skip Fabul.
Can I just say that you really hate to see it?
I mean, this would be a party that I would probably skip Fabul and take Ordeals. We know that we're going to be doing it eventually. And the Sylph Summon is just incredibly strong. There's not going to be, other than seeing really like Val in the second spot, there's not a lot of bosses that are going to be too much of a problem here. But Fabul is definitely the safer play. Only 1,500 or so HP, nothing other than maybe a Wyvern that would give you a time loss, that would give you pause.
Well, we could reset out of Val, maybe. That is a star. And that star is bloop, 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 bloop.
Well, this, one weird thing about early fight plagues is that sometimes the count just goes super quickly, so it makes the fight seem a lot harder. Sylph is going to definitely help here, although I'm wondering if he's going to get 2 casts of Sylph off. It looks like the answer is yes. Or is going to take the approach of trying to get Rydia down. I don't think he had the time for that, though.
This side we got Penguin doing the Mist Dragon fight, and doing it pretty quickly, it looks like. Sylph coming out, probably shouldn't be much of a problem, and we'll see what that dragon is hiding. And yeah, sorry about the frame drops. It does happen, unfortunately, but we got a good restream on it. We'll take care of it as soon as we can.
Seeing an early demist is always just a nice burden off your mind, but it's taken, especially since looks like, well, we do have the one boss hunt, so there's still that, but it does give you a chance to not have to worry about any kind of weird plays that you might end up spending a little bit of time on, like maybe checking the package boss or something like that.
So we've got the hook on Rydia's mom. That means underworld progression could be required out of that spot. And we see Penguin reacting not by turning in the hook immediately and checking the character, but instead going right for ordeals, which I think, given the strength of this party, probably not a bad play.
Yeah, and especially given with Tella and Cecil in the party, there's too much to gain from doing ordeals to pass. I guess the counter argument to that would be if you did, well, no, never mind, you wouldn't get the experience. What am I thinking? Finds a couple nice equipment on ordeals. Bandana's always a nice strength boosting gear. Ice brand, great if we find a fire.
And this time keddril going back and doing the reflex strat on Plague. So Plague will continually cast count because one of the party members does not have count on, and because it will keep on reflecting, he will always kind of be juggling off, and then you can finish him off this way.
Yeah, and that'll give keddril plenty of time to get the couple Sylph cast needed. And the boss isn't slow enough in this spot that you have to worry about him casting count again after the time runs out, which I think pretty much only happens in the second Baronin fight, but it can.
We see Antlion over here as the first boss on Mount Ordeals, still carving it up pretty quickly, as you would predict, down right away, and we'll see if we get a troll out at the second boss spot.
Yeah, with the limited physical attack, the first boss spot is usually just a warm-up. And seeing Antlion there is pretty nice. There's definitely some of the ruder spots we could find Antlion. The second boss, however, is going to be even freer. You kind of like to see this. Usually want King Queen Ebla on a spot on the moon, but this is one of the spots that can really hurt your run, and getting the free King Queen Ebla fight here is always nice to see.
Out of Fabul, will keddril be rewarded? He gets a pink tail, so not particularly likely to be helpful early on until that Cecil is claimed out of Baronin and you do the ordeals check. But could be something, could be a little something there.
Well, it's a potential pitfall for keddril if the demist is not checked and immediately goes to wherever our underground passage and puts it off. If that happens to be a holy sword, that would give penguin8r a pretty significant.
I'm surprised he's actually trying to fight this a little bit.
Yeah, generally.
I'm not sure which one is faster in this play. As I'm saying, I don't know for sure.
Yeah, it's probably about even. Usually, if you have to let the King Queen Eblon just go off at a point where they're not RA1, it's usually around a minute 20. And since we have a good single target spell, if you can get the King of Eblon out of there, Queen Eblon will peace out immediately on her next turn. So you generally want to be able to finish that first part in about a minute in order to actually save time.
Yes, that's right. Flurry does keep stats for all the boss fights. So if you ever want to know how long something should take, just give them a holler.
Yeah, it's a really great way to look back at my run and see I had a 7.5 minute Valveless fight at Dwarf Castle.
That is a crystal shield. Oh, baby.
Well, we wanted to see crystal something, but not the shield.
Oh, we've got Dark Elf here. Not a scary fight at all, especially in a spot with low HP.
Yeah, this is more annoying than anything.
So it looks like it's going to be Baron in or Hook for our runners.
Yeah, that's pretty much the play. Finding the Hourglass early on is really going to pay off if this ends up being a Hook seed. That the general way of getting a pretty sizable chunk of health is through the Mad Ogre fights. But without an Hourglass, those dudes hit hard. Hourglass will render that fight mostly meaningless. Although I don't know if we've found any type of, well, we have found mute arrows, so mute arrows and a decent bow will kind of take care of that. Sylph will not help at all.
Yeah, the Mad Ogres have a lot of defense. Could just use Size of Tella though. I mean, once he's done on the mountain.
Yep, that will get the job done too. I'm kind of hoping we actually, well, it'd be really interesting if we get a Darkness Crystal at Baronin, and then the decision of do you decide to go Moon or go underground and commit time to that Hook comes into play. I've seen it happen in a few races lately.
Given the setup of the party, honestly, this would be. I don't think you hunt for the double gold dragon fight, but might kind of be the party where, if assuming rough at Hook, you'd want to do that lid 1 grind on the grenade.
All right, so Penguin8r, I believe, has gotten all of his shops pretty much out of the way, so can head straight to Baron Inn, pick up his Cecil, first fight being the Kaipo guards. Definitely not who you'd want to see there, as that's a super free fight. Will get, I believe, his second Ice Brand. And we'll see. This second fight can be a little dicey because the physical attack is pretty high, but it's also incredibly slow. So as long as it's really just like not constantly hitting Tella or Rydia, having the third party here and a decent enough stack of life potions will get you through pretty much anything. We see rare use of the kick command to actually try to get the guards out, but just didn't quite kick hard enough.
That was a hubris kick right there.
Wanting to show off his Yang mastery is what I'm guessing. So we'll see who the second boss fight is here. And
it's even more guards.
Well, guards love the Baron Inn. What can I say? This is gonna bring an interesting decision. I'm not sure he's gonna want to burn his Hourglass here, and these do hit hard, and there's 2 of them, so they're gonna hit, well, twice. Now Sylph will avoid the counters, and these will have about 2,000 HP each, so 2 Sylph casts should be enough, but there is the issue of whether or not the party is going to survive off long enough for her to get those 2
Are we getting a cheeky Kaka play here? Here goes.
Oh! Wow, look at that. Rare examples of Kaka being used in an actual fight. How about that? Well, it was so good. Let's try.
Can I just say that you do love to see it?
Absolutely. I'm not gonna lie. Anytime I see that summon come up on the mountain, I reset out of it. So
So
this
somebody's a
is
witch.
look at that! It's a darkness crystal. So now we've only got 4 characters. We have 2 open checks: the hook and uh, the lunar foray on the moon. So with 2 objectives on the moon, I do foresee a D machine grind coming up relatively soon. We do want to find ethers. I don't know if we've seen those yet.
We have, yep.
We have? Okay, cool. So in that case, yeah, like we're pretty much all go. We just want to see who the characters are. I think the information of who the hook boss is, even if you don't plan on doing that, is still useful. And also, if there's a slingshot to be had here, this is the time to do it.
I mean, you've already got the Cecil, so that's one of my favorite characters, Slingshot. I know a lot of people are like, well, I want to get these mages to get nuke, and yeah, I get that. It's really good too. But anytime I can put like a level 57 Cecil in my party, I love to do that.
I mean, we're not going to run into a boss that's going to challenge a Cecil at that high level, and even if he doesn't have the offense, he can cover and basically make your party immune to physical attacks straight up. So it looks like penguin8r is not going to check the hook character, is going to go raise the whale. We'll see. I would imagine we'll see at least a moon character check, and then probably an immediate trip to the giant, unless he I know penguin8r is a huge fan of the Daddy Mac, the Mac giant grind. We'll see if he decides to do that instead.
Well, one other thing to think about is that you do need 5 characters to get that double bonus. So if there isn't a character here on the moon that we can take, you might also see him dive that hook just to check for that character.
Yeah, that's a good point. I would have, to that end, I wouldn't have mind leaving a save before you head to the moon in case you end up getting a duplicate. Just for that very reason, to enable a slingshot. Keddril is off the mountain and is now going to follow in penguin8r's footsteps and head directly to Baronin. So we'll get the guard party. Does not have the cockatrice spell, so might have a little bit of a bad time.
Rough times ahead, folks. No cockatrice spell.
Sentences I didn't think I would say today, but there it is.
There are many things that Tella can do. He just has to survive on it to get the spell off. So shouldn't be terrible as long as we see what Keddril knows what he's doing here.
So penguin8r is going immediately to the value cave. I'm wondering if he's going to just check the boss to get the information, or...
So the chests in Cave Bahamut have been boosted significantly by T-Pro, so that makes some sense. Also, probably looking for the Mega Sisters, and then this will be the only time he ever steps in here unless things go terribly wrong.
Yeah, that definitely gives you a little bit of a clue as to what his routing is going to be beforehand. You're on the moon. Let's get the information now. We see a Val, no thanks, and is going to head on out and probably do a character check.
Yeah, that definitely was a Val you gave. This joke brought to you by Dumb Rain Don't Hurt Me.
I mean, I just finished catching the first hour of a stream with Baka Shinobi on commentary, so you know.
Wow, we haven't fired him yet? Amazing. So, Penguin, finally gonna get this check on. Will he get a 5th character, or will he have to consider other options? That's a Rosa. That's looking real good for the D Machine grind, folks.
Yeah. We're going up to the giant for sure. And now it doesn't look like we're gonna get a second slingshot. If you really wanted to set that one up, we would need to have our 4th experienced character 5 levels behind the median. So I don't believe Rydia's at level 15 yet. Let's see if I can sneak a peek. Oh, level 16. Okay, never mind. Rosa and Cecil are both going to get a slingshot here. That's perfect.
Yeah, if you could pick any 2 characters to get a slingshot, I mean, Paladin's probably number one, but other than that, those are probably two of the top four.
And since we are getting double experience for those two characters, you don't really have to do a lot of D machines. Just 4 is gonna put Cecil and Rosa up in the 50s mark.
Penguin taking some time to figure out his setup here. You have to make sure that you can hit the D machine with whatever you have. And dancing probably the best thing for Rydia right now.
Yeah, this is where you'd like to see maybe a power staff. That's kind of my keep in handy in case of D machine. If he decides to do Mac Giant, that's a little safer, but it is a little more time consuming to set up because you kind of have to blink your entire party since it's still going to one-shot you, but it's only going to do physical attacks. But we'll see which one he goes. I'm kind of interested. I know he's wanted me to run some numbers on D Machine versus Mac Giant because he's a big fan of that particular grind. So let's see if he turns encounters on the 3rd floor, we'll know he's going for the Mac Giant.
Well, the other thing about the Mac Giant grind is because we don't have it's not speedrun appropriate, so we're gonna have that actual setup on which steps you need to take and from the save point or whatever. It's not quite as easy to find sometimes. Like you can be standing there for 10, 12 encounters that can happen. So that's also something to factor in.
All right, so if we get to floor 3, I don't think he would go save and then come back to the Mac Giant floor. One of the benefits touted. Okay, looks like he's going all the way up. So I think we're going to see a standard D Machine grind here. Although, I'm going to somewhat take that back a little bit. Finding out this boss is also going to be significantly important because we do have a boss hunt on the table. If this is even something clearable, it might be worth taking out just to see who the CPU boss is.
Well, you probably want to do that after the grind because you're getting the double experience on both of them. But you can check it first, of course. That's what Penguin's doing. So our elements stand-in boss here, that would be some dolls.
Normally that'd be kind of free, although we are unfortunately a little bit lacking in the AoE department. Rydia will be able to help a little with Quake, but Quake's only going to do about 3k per, so it'll take a couple. You may need to burn the hourglass too. If you dare grind her up to Medio, it's going to take millions of experience to do so, which I don't think is the case. I'm not sure if he's going to actually take that boss on, but is doing the step count. Looks like he's got his number, so should be getting the encounter pretty soon.
Speaking of cheeky situations here, also possible if he kept the thing, he could throw that Odin summon on Rydia and take care of some of the dolls that way.
Oh, that's right. Odin would work on the back half because they don't have the boss bit, and then all right, yeah, that might fly a little bit. Although you wouldn't be able to stop this, so you'd have to be able to take out the pink dolls within one turn.
Well, we do still have that hourglass, don't we?
Yeah, but I don't think you can hourglass the pink ones.
So yeah, we got some options on the table here. He's got the Grimoire still too.
Yeah. One thing I've been trying to learn a little bit about this particular D Machine fight is how important the order of your team can matter when setting this up. You kind of don't want a character who is not going to be able to hit things in the spot immediately following Tella. Most characters are around the same agility, or at least are going to have pretty similar, so you can somewhat predict the turn order. Extremely slower characters will tend to lag a little behind, and edges will tend to skip turns as they often do. But you'll notice he's got Cecil in that first spot in a perfectly good spot there to take advantage of being the character who's going to go first after the week, hopefully.
running into a little bit of a problem here with these beamers just because we don't have a lot of damage at all. We've got Zilf, and yeah, he's got some claws, and yeah, that's kind of about it.
Yeah, it's gonna actually see him cast a weak spell on one of them just to kind of help that out. Even Sylph is only going to do about 700, and these are about, I want to say, 1800 or so per. So yeah, it'll take a little while to get going. Keddril is making the same play and has almost really kind of made up some ground a little bit here. Is going to start getting the encounter set up. It looks like right now. So this could be really close.
Well, he will not get the bonus with only 4 characters.
That's right. That's right.
The other thing about that is he still doesn't know how he's supposed to get in the round yet. He has not found that demist yet.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be a problem. Now I still think he might decide to attempt to clear the moon anyway, just because we have 2 objectives there. You know, get the bottom over with if your party's strong enough. The issue, like you said, is that he's only got 4 characters. We're not going to see a slingshot here. So if you want to get any characters to level 50 or so, it's going to take about 8 or so D machines. More if you want to get Rydia up to really high levels. So that could be a little bit of a time loss there for Keddril.
And not to put too fine of a point on it, but like little things like that are kind of the difference between, you know, the best runners of this ROM hack and then, you know, guys who are also really good. I mean, it comes down to knowing a lot of little details in situations like this. And unfortunately, Keddril is going to be punished for not knowing that 5 character rule and checking to see if there is 5th character.
So, not too much to discuss for the next 7 or 8 minutes as we go through and decide to week up and cast some D machines. So let me ask you, when you set this up in, at least in vanilla, how is it that you like to have your setup in such a way to try to optimize getting maybe 2 or 3 life potions off and making this even faster?
Well, the interesting thing about vanilla, comparatively speaking, is because in these flags AA is on, you never have quite the same turn order as you would have in vanilla, because the middle character will always be 5 instead of 2 like it is in the speedrun, because Cecil is usually in the 5th slot, you know, furthest away from the ATB. So it's kind of a weird translation point between vanilla and the randomizer.
Yeah, because I remember watching a couple of runs, of vanilla runs, and where they would cast or they would queue the weak, and then the next character's turn would come up and they would almost immediately attack. I'm like, whoa, if I try that in FE and you hit that character before the weak goes off, he's going to counter with a physical attack, and it's going to be a bad time.
Yeah, you can. There have been thousands of runs probably over the course of the last 7 years of vanilla FF4 that have died to that grind fight going off the rail somewhere. And it's also one of the funniest ways you can do it, actually, and something that FE runners are familiar with is you can get to, you know, too clever with your, like, oh, I'm gonna run buffer this, and then, oh wait, actually, this is a fight.
I've done that. I've totally run buffered in the end of this fight, trying to get off, like, oh, this is my last life potion, maybe I can squeeze off a double. And the shame that follows when you watch your characters run away is incomparable. Oh man, that has happened. I would imagine a lot of FE runners have probably had that happen as well.
Yeah, that is a vanilla rite of passage as far as doing no 64 runs. Generally speaking, once you get the fight stable after the second round of D machines, you're usually pretty safe with the vanilla strats to always get 3 off. But if at any point you go off the rails, unfortunately, it is really hard to. Did we just charm kill it?
This could cause a little bit of a problem.
That was pretty fortunate.
And just kick the guy while he's down, throw a dancing dagger on him. So penguin8r is going to cash out right now. He looks like he did 5, so is going to get 600k That's 1.2 million for our other characters. So welcome to Zeromus levels. We're good to go. One thing, I wonder if keddril is attempting to try to do this, but using Sylph after the weak cast to try to mitigate a little bit of the fire damage is actually pretty clever.
So I think the question for Penguin now is, do you go for these dolls or not?
Well, if he takes a save, if he drops a cabin, or no need to drop a cabin here, you're gonna get full heal. If he drops a save here, that's gonna be our answer.
Cheeky Odin.
Oh, well, he's gonna drop a tent here. Penguin8r, you didn't need to do that.
Play that cheeky Odin game. Come on. I think Riddy is like 2 levels short of Quake, so almost got there, but a little bit off.
Man, level 44 and you don't have Quake? Ah, jeez. Palom can't relate at all.
That's right.
Alright, so looks like, I would imagine the 2 prevalent options that Penguin8r would have would be to either status effect, ideally with stop, with the hourglass, the back row, get the front row down, and then just wait on Zerk and hope you can get them down before the hourglass runs out. Option 2, as you mentioned earlier, would be to use that Odin summon. I believe the pink dolls are the ones that have the boss bit, so you would have to get the pink dolls down pretty quickly. And I don't think has Penguin8r found a cursed ring? Because that would help here quite a bit.
No, he has not.
Well, he may not need it because he took Tella out, so Tella didn't get any levels, so he's sitting at a pretty low agility as it is.
Oh, he does have Quake. Look at that. We missed that entirely, didn't we? Another thing that could have happened here, I guess, if you had a lower level Rydia, now come to think of it, is you could probably frog those back row dolls and then they can't transform.
That would work too. I've actually never seen frog done on them. So is going to burn his hourglass, so now it's just a matter of cast Quake until they go down. Although that's a Sylph summon, so okay.
That's a Grimoire.
Oh, it's a Grimoire. All right. Might as well. At this point in time, the J items have lost their.
Ooh, resetting out. Resetting out. Going for that cheeky Odin.
Okay. Well, my concern with Odin is going to be: are you going to get the pink dolls down in time with one Quake? But let's see how this goes. I'm kind of interested to see. Maybe he was worried about Quake taking too long to get the dolls down. Now, he did put Rydia in the middle, so that's going to give her a little bit of an accuracy boost on this Odin.
And Zesel covering out of the back row should make things pretty trivial. Probably get Berserkers going next, maybe?
I wonder if we're going to see a glitch similar to the Odin on Milan glitch. Well, or he's going to miss.
Why don't we kill him? Tella can help here. Let him Berserk, man.
Don't want him getting those levels.
Meanwhile, keddril's fight actually going pretty well, pretty safe. Not getting as many life potions off as Penguin did, but shouldn't be in too big of a danger here finishing the fight.
Yeah, keddril's making good use of using that Sylph summon to deal the damage, to do the final blow, therefore not really having to worry about healing quite as much. You generally only have to throw maybe a cure potion on your higher HP characters like Yang and Cecil, so it's streamlining it a little bit, but like you mentioned, that lack of slingshot is going to force this D machine to be twice as long if you want to start to approach the levels of effectiveness that Penguin8r has.
I hear Sylph sandwiches are actually very tasty and refreshing.
So that did okay. So you can today I learned you can Odin the pink dolls as well. I wasn't sure because Hourglass didn't work on them. I thought maybe they might have the boss fit. Turns out I'm wrong. All right, well, time saved. We've seen Odin and Cockatrice used in highly effective situations. This race has already been a gem.
And we've got a tiny Tella in the middle now.
I guess to make sure a physical, maybe this is a Gomez safeguard.
What a hot water hack location to have. Wow. That free experience, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's not exactly what the boss we're looking for, but at least now we're going to get even more experience. This is, I believe, 150k base here. And is also going to get that, well, don't really need the character. Well, no, we just started with the Tella, so we still need the character check as well. So if this happens to be a Tella, and that's the only other spot he's in, and keddril passes us up, that's a big advantage on penguin8r's part.
Yeah, as pointed out in chat, we do need to find a second Tella. Starting with a Tella does not mean that you've technically gotten Tella as far as the objective system is concerned.
Now, keddril could be bailed out by a Sand Ruby. Chat does mention he was taking a nap in the bed. But let's see who the character is that we get here. It is a duplicate Rosa. Keddril, if he decides to take this fight, will be like, where were you? She's like, I was on the moon. You didn't come get me.
So technically kind of a waste of 7 minutes, but we did get a lot of experience out of that water hog fight. So Penguin probably not feeling too bad about that at 44 minutes now.
Yeah, all things told, he probably spent about 5 or 6 minutes there, but he may actually end up saving time by virtue of getting that much closer to Rydia gaining nuke. And in spots where maybe the physical attack isn't going to be enough, the nuke can kind of fill in that.
So I would imagine, given our objectives, we're probably going to see a lot of moon clearing out of Penguin and keddril right away. Keddril doesn't even know where the hook is. That's in the Vanilla Demas location, if you joined us late. So evading keddril's grasp so far. And we've got 2 objectives on the moon, so not surprising at all to see Penguin go right there and try to take some of these out.
Yeah, I would expect at least a full clear of the bottom bosses. Maybe if our favorite alt Gauntlet shows up, that might be a spot you pass on, but I feel like at this point, with all the objectives are pointing at you to commit to the moon thus far, like what we've seen from the seed. So I'm pretty confident in saying we're going to see close to a full clear here.
And the levels definitely are at a point where, I mean, honestly, you might even consider taking some trap chest fights up here to just get Cecil a better weapon.
Yeah, even the dragon fights are pretty much the only thing we'd have to worry about. Yeah, we haven't really found a superlative holy sword for Cecil to wield and just absolutely destroy everything. I believe
quite a Freudian slip there.
Yeah, no kidding, right? I believe he's rocking a nice brand, if my memory is correct.
That is 1.2 million experience for keddril's party.
And is that going to be enough to get Rydia to Medio? Probably not. But 1.2 is enough to get her to nuke. I believe the requirement is just over 1 million. So Rydia's got nuke. She's good to go. Let's see if keddril decides to take. Finding an Hourglass 3 is actually going to be really handy for this next boss. And let's see what happens. Let's see if keddril decides. We see a save being dropped, so it looks like we're at least going to see a boss check.
We've got a Sura down here. Penguin, actually our runners did not start with very many Starvilles at all, so kind of having a little moment of uncertainty there about what he wants to do with this.
Yeah, isn't entirely sure if he wants to Starveil. It's the best way to avoid a lot of the danger in this. If you're worried about the physical attacks going off, she's not going to counter any reflected spells. So 2 Starveils on one character, 1 for your reflecting and 2 to reflect her heals, and then start bouncing spells off, and you at least won't get attacked. Rydia not having nuke here is going to make this a little slower, but I think with white it'll be enough. The question is going to be, is the wall going to run out before we finish casting spells here?
Well, we've got keddril ignoring the giant bosses, so he will save a lot of time coming out of here, and probably will not be happy to see Rosa in that spot.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Free Enterprise Raiders. So if you're just joining us, we have very few key items, almost nothing on Earth. We had a hook at Vanilla Demist, and we had a Darkness Crystal in the Baron Inn, and both of our runners went in the D-Machine grinded immediately. We've got Penguin on the moon now, keddril hot on his heels.
Yeah, the main difference between the 2 runners right now is that keddril did not check the moon character and went up to the D-Machine with only 4, whereas penguin8r did get a 5th character, got Rosa, so was able to just slingshot those 2, so had a faster D-Machine grind. However, penguin8r did check and clear both the bosses in the element spot, which were dolls, and the CPU spot, which was the water hag. Thank you very much. Therefore, keddril is kind of caught up a little bit.
That's not a key item, but I think Penguin will take it.
Yeah, thank you very much. Would have been nice to have a couple fights ago, but yeah, Rydia is super powerful now, as if she wasn't already. Not too many fights here that are going to present much of a problem for penguin8r at this.
I think this is the most summons I've ever seen on Rydia and FE without completing Dwarf Castle yet.
Yeah, now that you mention, we just need Leviathan, and we've kind of gotten everything we could possibly get, other than grinding out the remaining bomb and all that.
Yeah, Asura, that's the only one that's missing, I think. But yeah, and so Penguin got a 48 Rydia now, pretty close to nuke, but not quite there yet. So that Bahamut will tide over the damage a little bit until that happens.
And remember to actually use the item in order to learn it. I'm not speaking from personal experience at all. No.
All right, checking that White Spear altar. That is the second required objective on the moon. And we have Golbez.
Ha ha ha.
Ha ha.
So Golbez not going to be as much of a troublemaker as he was earlier today. This is the White Spear spot, so the magic here is actually pretty good if I remember right. But with our characters being at the levels they are, I think as long as you go in with the adequate preparations, you can pull that off, but is going to decide to come back.
Oh, that's required anyway. Wow, everything on the moon right now.
Is underground? Well, we have to do the pan, so I guess that part is required, but otherwise we've seen almost everything. Well, if the sand ruby's up here, it could have a lot of things that we need up here and almost be a nearly not required underground.
That Bahamut is suddenly looking really tasty for Penguin. Getting the Bahamut, these sisters, not have to worry about the walls at all. Getting the Berserk on the Rosa with mute arrows. So this will be probably a pretty short fight, all things considered.
Yeah,
by the way, I don't think that Golbez has high magic at this spot at all.
Okay, this one is... I know at least one of the spots in that area is really low. I think that's the D-Lunars. But penguin8r is really being rewarded by taking what would normally be a non-traditional moon route by checking the wyvern spot first. In this case, you're a little more incentivized because, you know, it's required. That spot is an objective. But getting Bahamut there is going to make this fight so much more easier.
And those sisters did not stay on screen very long. That will light up objective number 3 for Penguin, and we will see what is hiding out here. That's a ninja sword and a legend. Okay, so nothing too great, but might be halfway to getting our Cecil and Excalibur before the end of the seed. That's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, that's really the only thing missing from our team just being completely over the top, brokenly powerful. We do see a little bit of preparation going into the Golbez fight. Penguin8r is inflicting status effects on his characters intentionally. Therefore, the paralysis because of stat priority. Why that's a thing, we're not sure. Because of stat priority now, the hold gas is going to miss the other characters and is piggying, it looks like, yeah, is piggying his melee fighters so they can still fight, and is miniing his casters so they can still cast.
Yeah, if I had to guess, that's probably about what happens when you're trying to program a game in 1991 and they're all of a sudden like, hey, let's go from the Nintendo to the Super Nintendo. You can have multiple status ailments on the same character, but it's also kind of awkward how it happens. It has to be like through breath or something. But yeah, it's a weird system here. But because of the status effect priority, Golbez will not be able to entirely kill. And we've only got 1 star bell here.
So Cecil's got to make this count. Let's see if he decides to prioritize just keeping the walled characters walled, or if he decides to res characters thinking he can just heal through the damage. We can see on keddril's side, the damage is not anything to really worry about once you get your party up and running.
Yeah, I would actually be trying to get Rydia up here. I think she needs some more levels for Nuke. You're pretty close, and she would do a lot more damage than the Cecil or Yang will do, I think. Well, Yang's gonna be pretty good, but Cecil definitely more than Cecil.
Yeah, so keddril's gonna get the upper hand as far as time is concerned on this fight. It looks like finds a rat tail. That may come in handy later. I don't think that alone is going to dissuade keddril from leaving the moon, especially since keddril did not pick up the hook at Vanilla Demon.
Yeah, as far as keddril is concerned, and I mean, I'm not saying that keddril is like an idiot or anything, but like he might not know that D-Mist is required. Our runners are not all like gods at reading the things, so he might not know.
One could also find a magma key, and that would make things a little better as far as, you know, not having to worry about where the access is. But chances are, if keddril finds the magma key, Penguin8r is gonna find it too. So it won't be that much of an advantage, but might be a little peace of mind for keddril, wondering, I should have underground access by now. What am I missing?
So this is kind of an interesting setup, because what we're going to do is we're going to have 1, 2, 3 lit up for both of our runners in a hurry, and from there we've only got 2 left. So I mean, things could get a little swingy depending on which path you go down here.
Yeah, one of the ways you can decide to diverge from your opponent is if you're committing to a particular chain. Maybe you leave off that Val sitting at Bahamut because it's Val, and maybe you just don't want to deal with that. A decision like that could end up being the deciding factor here, especially since keddril's done a pretty good job, or did a good job of getting Rosa up to get the double experience from the Golbez spot. If Rosa can survive on keddril's side and get another 200k XP, might be in the clear for surviving the rest of the fights and catching up on the rest of the party.
All right, Penguin's going to be our first runner to check out what's down here at the Mazamunen spot.
Come on, Gauntlet.
No, that's just a Leviathan.
This is actually one of the scarier spots that Leviathan can be at, because he's both really fast and has a very high magic stat, so those ice 2s can hurt. However, with our party level being what they are, you can see, like, you can see, I wonder if that's the protectoring kind of kicking in there. I remember Leviathan at this particular spot doing a lot more damage than that.
Yeah, this is some Nope Noodle inspiration, but not necessarily the full thing. But we got a Thunderclaw Yang. I think that this Yang will pop off on Leviathan a little bit here.
Oh yeah, Yang's sitting at RA1. We may not see that many more commands other than the occasional heal onto Yang, and just let him punch Leviathan for 4k.
Rando Mania, thank you for the raid. Catching people up again. We've got a seed that had very low key item count on the overworld. We had the Vanilla Demus with a hook that keddril has not checked. And we had a Darkness Crystal with Baron in, which both runners immediately took to the Giant to do a grind of. And then go to this moon where we know that there are 2 objectives, and we have found the Mega Sister, so 3. And from there, we will see what happens.
Yep, it's how can we find who finds Tella first, who finds the pan first. That's pretty much what it's boiling down to. Our runners are pretty much even at levels per se. Penguin8r has a higher Cecil and Rosa. keddril has a higher level Rydia and Yang, which you usually wouldn't expect Penguin8r to have the lower level Yang, but slingshots are a thing.
This is getting a little spicy here for Penguin. Getting a little spicy.
And that RA1 speed combined with, decent enough damage from the Ice 2s, this Bahamut kind of has to do the job here. We may see a reset.
Got him.
Ooh, fortunately, Bahamut does more damage than a Mel Rojas relief appearance and gets the job done for Penguin8r. Only gets a Stardust Rod, so that's gonna help Rydia, but it's not progression, so that's kind of a bummer.
I would have gone with Aaron Howman, but fair enough. Fair enough.
So keddril, I think, is going to have a little bit of an easier time on the Leviathan fight, I think. Although, I think Penguin8r kind of underestimated how quickly all those waves were going to come in fast and furious. So, didn't really prioritize that much as far as healing. keddril's Rosa does not have Cure 4, so may not actually even really be able to keep up with the healing at the speed everything is going to be hitting him at.
Yeah, I think this is definitely a fight that benefits a lot from the Soak Web, but that I don't think Penguin decided to do. So Penguin actually leaving the moon after those 4 checks, leaving the Bahamut live. We know that he's already checked that in its Val, so that makes some sense, as well as the Vanilla Palladium spot. So that is also live for keddril should he wish to keep clearing.
Yeah, I think whenever you run into seeds that have like that rogue boss hunt or that rogue character hunt that could seem to make it look like you're going to have to full clear, it's easy to kind of take the approach of saying, all right, there's not going to be 3, 4, 5, or 6 things I'm going to be able to put off. It's maybe just 1 or 2 things, and understanding that I may have to come back to them later. So just clearing the bottom of the moon is an understandable play, especially since Val is on Bahamut. That can be time consuming. But if that Murasame spot does pay off for keddril, that is one way that we could see a little bit of catch up.
So Penguin going to turn in that rat tail. Still has not done Fabul yet. A man after my own heart. So doesn't have the pink tail yet. Only getting a spoon for his troubles.
Yeah, Magma Key would have been a little nice to see, or the pan, to make that required, but otherwise we're still on that pan hunt. Might be going back to pick up more star veils because I believe you used the last of it on.
Yeah, definitely. When you start a seed with like less than 3 star veils on this flag set, you start to get a little bit nervous, knowing that if you go somewhere, one boss can wipe out your entire supply.
I mean, I can't tell you the number of times that I've underestimated how little or how quickly that starter kit can run out, and you find yourself on the moon with 2 tents, 1 ether, 1 cabin, 4 life potions, in a dream. It can be kind of brutal. So yeah, I totally understand.
I take it back. Penguin not after my heart, after all. Doing Fabul. This is about to be, who was here? One toasty whoever it was.
I think this is a little bit more of a defensive play. I think at this point you're worried that this is something that has been on the table for a while. You can get done really quickly, and you're concerned that you might be super behind if your opponent has done this first. Because otherwise, also this could have the magma key, which would save probably about 4 to 5 minutes. The moon bosses aren't, or the hook bosses aren't going to really pose a threat, but it'll save some time. And also, you know, if this happens to be panned behind some form of Sheila and you put that off, you could be, you know, full clearing the entire seed.
Definitely deserve that pink tail.
Well, I believe, keddril has, so we actually don't know what that pink tail is. I would imagine, since we're still rocking a nice brand at level 50 million, probably going to double dip the adamant cave and check to see what that is, hoping for a holy.
And keddril taking on the Asura here. This is probably the boss. No, the gold boss is harder. It was slower, but this is probably the boss that gave Penguin another Bahamut. Aren't you happy you checked that, Penguin?
I mean, the only thing better than 1 Bahamut is 2 Bahamuts, I guess. Could sell it for a cursed ring. That's about it. I would have kind of liked to see Leviathan to help fill out our summon repertoire. But regardless, there's nothing else left to do except head down that hook path. I don't think we're going to see any treasure checks here, but we will probably see an armor shop check, maybe looking for a cursed ring. Now, penguin8r's been pretty good about keeping his Tela tanking the floor whenever possible, so may decide to skip out on that, but you have a chance to get a cursed ring, and it's right there. I find it pretty hard to skip.
Imagine if the character here is Edge, after having that Murasame from the start of the game, getting a ninja sword, and then you come here and get that.
That's a good point. Penguin8r did not check the hook character before heading to the D Machine grind. So whatever character he finds here is a character that could be at level 50 if he so desired it. So finding something Edge, Fu wouldn't have changed that much of his outlook. I think he still would have done the same thing. But yeah, Edge with a Murasame to start would have been pretty nice, but it's just Iridia.
Well, paid off for him that time, and that is Octomam in the spot, and that's about to be one nuked Octomam.
Yeah, this could be a little bit of a bummer of a fight if we were at normal levels, but we are definitely not at normal.
Yeah, the Penguin8r master himself will show you how that Thunderclaw berserked 5,000 million HP Yang will deal with Octomam.
And there's not going to be that much at the King Queen Evelyn spot that's going to give us pause. So I guess the last thing you'd want to see would be something time consuming, although knowing this is required, it's something that your opponent is going to have to deal with too. But something like a Dr. Luge would probably be a little annoying.
Well, that CPU, anything like that would just get Bahamut, so don't worry about that. It's going to be pretty quick here.
Then I guess the question becomes, once we do hit underground on Penguin8r's side, do you check Dwarf Castle first, hoping for, you get the immediate character recruitment spot? There are 2 bosses there. Or do you go for Fey March, knowing that you can get 3 key items from there? We need a key item, and the bosses aren't going to be pretty quick.
Ooh, this could have been nasty if it was a seed where you didn't grind. Instead, that D-Knight's going to get put in the microwave. Goodbye.
If only we did not have Atella. If only that was like an Edward. How different would this seed have been?
That's what happens when you let a Braves fan roll the seed.
Yeah, ain't that the truth?
So Octoman also about to get nuked here.
Yeah, nukes, Thunderclaws, pretty much. We're gonna have some takoyaki after this, I think.
Keddril actually heading back for that Paladin spot. If this is actually Pam or the Sand River, this could be a little bit of a game changer.
Yeah, both the Bahamut spot and the Murakami spot were put off by Penguin8r. Now, he's still doing steps that Keddril is going to have to do. We know that hook is required, but every subsequent check afterwards that does not pay off could be time spent getting this key item, which might be required. Let's see what happens.
We've got Mylon and friends.
Yeah, no threat here whatsoever. Fireclaw Yang, as if they were going to be a problem in the first place, is going to make mincemeat out of these zombies, and then Rydia and Rosa can just stack spells. I guess the only thing I'd watch out for is you probably don't want to Zerk Cecil here in the name of time efficiency. Milan will counter everything with a lit 1. While it's not going to hurt, it's going to take an extra 5 seconds. So if you're thwacking with the Nice Brand, doing 1.5k, or hitting them with 7k with a nuke or a white, you can lose about a minute or so there if you're not careful.
And finally, our first runner underground at 109.50 something. Penguin turns to the right, immediately sees the blue robe. Because he fought the water hag, he knows that is a alt gauntlet at the top of tower.
Yeah, not going to be terribly incentivized, although that is one of the faster gauntlets. There's a lot of alerts up there, and he's got RA1 set up with that low agility Tella. He could put Cecil in the top slot and pretty much one turn, I want to say 4 of the fights. I think the last one is 2 Chimeras, if I remember right. So that's not, if you're going to have to face a gauntlet, that's one of the faster ones.
Penguin doing Dwarf first. That's interesting play.
Yeah, prioritizing the character recruitment here, hoping to find a Tella here. I guess the argument I'd make for doing the Fey March first would be, we've already seen 1 duplicate Tella. Chances are a little low that we'll see a second duplicate Tella. It can happen. I don't believe the character dispersion is even. And seeing Dark Imps here, this is not going to last very long.
Wow, see, I know, but it didn't work out for Keddril, but that coffin was a little on the nose.
And it looks like we're going to take on Valvalis at Bahamut. Not going to be terribly fun, even for this particular party. Yang and Cecil will do some damage, but it's not going to be the damage you want. Physicals are going to hurt here.
If I may interject, I do believe that this is one of those spots where you can cast magic.
That's right. You're right. The magic spot in this is really low. I believe it does blend. So will be annoying due to being at RA1. And hello, we've got a new character on Penguin8r's side.
And he was thrown in the dumpster. Goodbye.
Boy, the rare seed where Fu is not taken. What universe are we living in here? I could see the argument for replacing him with Tella, or replacing Tella with him, and then you've got he loves his unicorn strats. You'd have 3 really good casters for a fast Z fight, but he also hasn't found a cursed ring and does not want to spend time shopping at all. So is going to leave his Tela to tank the floor.
Anyway, this Val is it isn't a free fight by any means, but it is getting carved up pretty quickly by all the firepower that keddril has. And will that Dwarf Castle check pay off for penguin8r?
I mean, it kind of has to be a key item, right? We've seen so few.
What will the King Giada give us? Welcome to Earth.
Oh boy, because we didn't get enough time-consuming 1 key item checks, we got another one. We just need Twin Harp and Baron Key to kind of fill out our key item list. But I don't think that, well, that's 2 character spots. So on one hand, if Tela's going to be somewhere, I think we only have Baron Key and Package left, so there's a 50% chance he's there. On the other hand, we need the Pan, and you can get 3 key items spots from the Fey March. So that might be where he goes first.
Did he actually check the Sanderby spot? Does he know that Tela's there? I think he did check that.
Because he was the one who did a lot of shopping at the beginning. I believe he checked it. And dropped a save outside, it looked like. Is he going to loot some of the Fey March chip?
That is an adamant. That is not a required item. However, that is an Excalibur, so might speed up the rest of the seed for keddril.
Yeah, that's going to allow keddril to gain a little bit of time. Now, penguin8r's party is so loaded as it is that it's not going to be a ton. But if the plan is like hybrid strats for Z, or we come across, I can't think of that many spots, but I mean, anytime an RA1 Holy Sword Cecil, you can do it, then you do it. It's really awesome.
It does some damage, I feel like.
And we decide to save. I want to say the difference was a few frames in taking the shop versus using a cabin there. I remember Accident saying it was faster, and then everybody started doing it. See Odin and a Sparkle. Odin's not going to be too threatening with a fully loaded Rydia and a Thunderclaw here.
Is there any boss left that would be threatening to this party?
That's a good point. Not really, other than like the inventory screen.
Yeah, this is going to be a pretty quick fight. Not as fast as this Demist fight, though. Goodbye.
Hello, Demist. Goodbye, Demist. And it's going to turn that in, get the hook, and probably check the tails first, and then head underground.
That is a package. Could be Artella.
We still need the Pan, so I don't think we're going to see him bail out and check that just yet. As far as lunar bosses left, I think we just have Pale Dim and D-Lunars, if I remember right. We've seen Wyvern, we've seen Plague, and we've seen...
That is correct, yeah. So we got the Earth Crystal, we've got the Luca Key, we've got package out of the kind of the first wave of checks here. We've also got this incoming Sparkle Spot, which could be another key item. It would be very funny after all of this walk around if Shiva won't have the Pan. I'm just going to say that.
I mean, Pan is one of those spots where you're putting off doing Fabul and double dipping Sylph, hoping to get the Pan, but the Pan's required. So maybe by doing that, you're effectively saying I'm never going to see those key item spots what they happen to be. So yeah, Sheila. Like at this point, Dwarf Castle for the character and Fey March for 3 key item checks from an efficiency standpoint. When everything is put together, makes sense. But Sylph Cave is the Sheila one's only a minute and a half. Like it's pretty fast. You can do that right away and find out.
And we also have roughly 5 minutes sitting there at Gauntlet up the tower, so that could be something as well.
Yeah, if you want to make the play that you don't think anyone else, your opponent is going to make, then I think you go up Keyless Tower. I'm not sure that's going to be something we're going to see soon. Even if we happen to pull a tower key from Leviathan, I think Zot gets checked first.
I think it would be interesting if Keddril did it though, because you come in as the 31st seed. I don't have the bracket predictions in front of me, but I think maybe like 3 out of 40 people picked him to win, something like that, and those are kind of like joke brackets anyway. So, like, if you're really looking to stir things up, he's already checked both of the other moon spots. So, I mean, it's not like he's opposed to committing time when, maybe others wouldn't.
It would be very good, I think, from our viewing perspective. I don't think I could stomach doing that. But like we mentioned earlier, it's also one of the faster gauntlets, and since you'd be committing to a half tower, you could always just reset out if it doesn't have what you want. So yeah, that is one way Keddril could make up time here, unless penguin8r, who successfully finishes off those D-Lunars, gets something he really wants. But it's just a Bacchus. It's gonna help it may help for the Z fight. I don't think he's going to utilize Zerk anyway. But yeah, that's not terribly helpful. I think we check to see who's at the package, maybe.
Keddril has decided to hear the entire spiel here.
I mean, sometimes the motivational speech just helps you get up, face the day. You had a rough week. Your Monday shows up. You're like, I don't want to go into work. And sometimes Dark Knight Cecil telling you justice is not the only right in this world.
DK Cecil as life coach is officially something that's too dark for me to even think about.
I mean, it's not being released in Mysidian bookstores, I can tell you that much. penguin8r is going to make the Sheila 1 play. May check the package on the way, but likely just doesn't want to orphan that spot for too long. And because we're starting to run out of spots here, there could be a really spicy chain waiting for us somewhere, because there's still a lot of key items for us to get.
There also could be an orphaned key item that's left out of that spicy chain.
So I take back the Sheila 1 part. We're going to talk to Sheila just to get that over with and done, because, well, Sheila 2's required, so you're not really worried about what key item you get from there. And is going to check the Luca key. So, nice part about what can be checking Luca Cave is that if it happens to be nothing, you can reset out, and you're only about a minute and a half none the wiser. The dangerous part is when you have a lot of transitional key items left, that now you're compelled to take it, and it could lead to nothing, and all of a sudden that minute and a half wasted turns into 3, 4, 5 minutes, and we're still missing the tower key, the baron key, and the harp, all of which and the pan, but I mean, pan's required, all of which that penguin8r would be compelled to take. So this could be a little spicy. Let's see what happens to be here. And I don't think there's any spots at the evil wall that's going to give us a challenge. I was kind of thinking, Golbez Wyvern, but I think we've seen them both.
No, there's nothing left that will give this party a challenge, really. It's all just about the time to check. Now, the interesting thing we should point out, by the way, Keddril saw that blue robe. He does not know, unlike Penguin, because Penguin completed the giant, he does not know that is definitely the gauntlet. It could be Water Hag in his mind, too.
So he might be thinking, hey, to get a free fight, have a good time. Yeah.
So Penguin's going to walk that past out. Going to see a spicy Kainatsu, but unfortunately, wrong seat for him to appear in. He's about to get his face wrecked.
Yeah, so this will end up being about net even. The walk down is roughly around 2 minutes or so, depending on from where you're starting from. And the time spent in the Luca cave is going to end up being right a little less than 2 minutes. So, yeah, I get it. And hey, anytime you can just destroy Kainazo with all the pain he's inflicted upon us over the years, do it.
Thor Rage this.
Well, and we don't even have to deal with the hiding inside the shell text. Thank goodness. So now Penguin8r is going to probably use a combination of warp and walking out, get out of here, and probably head to Sheila 1. See what the next play.
Interesting if keddril will actually turn on that X cow or not right now. Because he appeared to remember suddenly, oh, I've got Rat Tail, I should probably do that. But after that, now, the underworld is kind of his oyster. We've seen how Penguin has played that. Will keddril do anything different, or will he just be following in the footsteps again?
As probably having a sigh of relief that was not the magma key, and you didn't just lose about 2 to 3 minutes from doing an unnecessary hook route. And yet is going to go ahead and forge. Now could also check the Coco shop to find something incredibly useful. I don't think there's that much at this stage of the game that's going to change things. I'd always love to see Bacchae, but even then, like, our party may lend itself more to refill skipping, and sirens, well, we don't need those. So
apples.
I saw crystal and I saw a sword icon, and my eyes put them together like, what? But alas, not just apples, which we don't need. And light sword, no. You've made better your sword yourself, Coco. No.
So food package, no help for Penguin. Keddril going to go to Dwarf. That's not what he needs to do, unfortunately. And Penguin going to check Sheila 1 now.
Yeah, sensible play, but unfortunately, retracing footsteps is bad news for keddril, because Penguin8r is rapidly running out of places to go. After this, I believe we have Zot and Achilles Tower left. And while neither of those are terribly appetizing from a time standpoint, since that's really the only variable we have to worry about now, but there's the tower key, so do you go for the 2 key items in the tower, or do you go for the 2 characters in Zot?
This is, by the way, not a developer speaking. This is purely anecdotal. Doesn't it feel like whenever Yang's in the party, she was a lot nicer to you?
I actually haven't even noticed. So maybe Sheila's trying to help out her husband there. Is going to make the check into Zot and prioritize the 2 characters. We do need Atella, and is probably thinking, ew, Gauntlet. So yeah, it's good. It'll be really interesting if this has the Twin Harp.
So will keddril keep the foo or not? He will. Goodbye to Tella. Of course, this Tella actually leveled up a lot in the grind anyway, so wasn't really an effective anchor in the first place. And we've got Santa Fu on the screen for keddril.
Yeah, absent a cursed ring, Tella has done his job admirably, but at this point, a leveled up Tella is actually not preferred at this point, so you're gonna go ahead and get the slightly better version of Tella, and yeah, more magic spells. Bye, Ogo. See another seed.
That is a star. I believe there's only one star left, and that is peeled in. Yep.
So I do wonder if there's a little bit of nerves on Penguin8r's side, even from a veteran runner's perspective, such as his. Your concern is that if I've if I'm full clearing a seed, you know, if my opponent did not full clear, I'm in big trouble, because now the checks I'm making are like 3, 4, 5 minutes. That might not be easy to make up on execution, especially from a seed that, for all the things that has happened, has been relatively linear. We demachined it around the same time.
Yet another foo. Seed determined if you went underground at all to give you like, hey, are you sure you don't want a foo? Because let me tell you, we've got one.
Or 2 or 3 in this seed. So, foo, that's a little bit of a bummer. Let's see who character number 2 is, and we may be at the point where we're just looking for that.
Yes, it's Edward. Yes,
you should
finally. So we're down to the Baron Key and the Sand Ruby.
Sand Ruby, which, yeah, we know Sand Ruby does have bedridden Tella there, so that'd be another reason why maybe you prioritize key item checks, and why you saw him go to Feymarch instead of this particular spot. But Rubicant, no worries, 1 nuke. Might have liked to see a couple kamikazes to avoid the crumble skip. That's about it. About the only criticism I can give for this fight. Doesn't even look like he has any, so there you go.
Didn't even get the crumble skip. Shaking my head.
I mean, yeah, save time wherever you can save time, man. Keddril is going into the Feymarch, is going to get that Earth Crystal. I believe Earth Crystal was from the Odin spot, but we'll probably take out both bosses here just because we need key items, and should not have any problem whatsoever. We're going to see full power of the Thunderclaw or full power of the X-Cal on display.
Pan, so Earth Crystal was required.
Well, so now I assume we're going to head right back into Sylph Cave, and be kind of interesting if Sheila 2 does end up giving the Earth Crystal, and putting off everything for Pan does end up being the successful play. I know someone in here who would love to see it.
I don't know anybody like that.
But otherwise, failing that, if we get a Sand Ruby, Penguin8r's in go mode, and really go mode, because his party is ready to take on Z as is. And Keddril's kind of in that same spot as far as party levels go. Let's see. If we see a Twin Harp, though, decision could be forth.
Light Spear, that's a great weapon for somebody who's not appearing in the seed. Thanks.
Yep, just clogging up inventory at this point in time. Now it's off to Sheila. I don't believe Penguin8r actually. Oh, is he going into the tower?
No, putting the save there so that he can come back.
Okay.
Yep.
Makes sense. All right, so he's gonna, if Sheila happen. Well, I mean, it's required anyway, so I guess you're weighing travel time versus Sheila time. Sheila time sounds like a new hit single coming out in 2021. But yeah, it's going to check to see if Sheila doesn't give us the Sand Ruby. May just reset out and head immediately up the tower, knowing that it's going to be tower into, well, something.
Kept having a little bit of trouble with those Z-Lunar, finishing out those Z-Lunars once they walled. Might not have remembered that part of the script. And we see now a Twin Harp.
Well, I mean, you gotta take it at this point in time. Now the decision becomes: do you Twin Harp or do you Gauntlet Tower? I think Tower's the probability play here, but it's kind of a nerve-wracking decision at this stage, and is going to leave one save and do the other.
Yep, so should it be here, then Penguin will just ignore that save he just made, and if it's not, then he'll reset out of here. Because he needs no more key items at all. Although, if it's a Baron key, might have to chase that.
Yeah, that's probably one of the bigger concerns here, is that this isn't necessarily going to be a one-to-one check. There is still a there's still a Baron key out there that can lead to two things. Now, Gauntlet, I believe, is going to be 4 different alerts and a double Chimera. So you'd like to see Cecil be put in the top slot, although we're probably going to check the tower boss first, just because.
Hooray, it's Dr. Luggage.
Stealing your time. Not the boss Penguin8r wants to see here, because, yeah, Dr. Luggage, you have to sit through this cutscene, Balnop say grr, and then you gotta take him out a second time, and you may see Penguin8r attempt a run buffer here just to make sure to get that virus off, just so you don't have to deal with the poison step.
I think that virus will go off fast enough, yeah. No worries. So keddril checking Sheila 1 now. We'll get that tower key too, I guess.
Yeah, keddril making this check without acquiring the pan first. So if this tower key does play off, I would imagine keddril is likely to follow this tower key somewhere, although seeing the Gauntlet may dissuade keddril a little bit. But if this does end up having the Sand Ruby, it might help a little bit here, because then keddril would just need the pan, and we know where that is.
And to answer chat, was behind the Earth Crystal. So keddril can do that, and in fact, since he still needs Atella, is kind of incentivized to do that, but hasn't done it yet.
So let's see, cookware cookware lacking is going to follow up on that tower key. So if this is the Sand Ruby, keddril will still be behind, but we'll have made up at least time from doing the Luca key. And did keddril do Dwarf? I believe keddril did do Dwarf Castle.
All right, what was tower keys giving us? Was Sheila holding again? That is the Baron key. The rabbit holes continue.
Well, continue holding on to those multiple saves, because now we got 2 more spots to check at the Baron key, and Penguin8r doesn't know it, but I believe Baron key paying off is probably good for him.
The absolute worst thing here would be a top of tower, which keddril looks like he might do, is Sand Ruby. That would be the worst thing that happened to Penguin.
Oh, he didn't do the top of the tower. Oh, man. So riding the Penguin8r half tower play all the way to the top, or so he hopes, because, yeah, keddril is going to take on this Gauntlet here, and if this happens to be the Sand Ruby, we got a race, folks.
And Penguin, of course, interestingly enough, because he did the giant and finished all the bosses, as we said earlier, knows knows coming down that's Gauntlet, didn't want to do it. Keddril does not know that, because he never fought that water hag at the CPU spot.
And Penguin8r, even if he doesn't get the Sand Ruby from here, could be bailed out a little bit by getting the Tella as the character here. As we've seen from getting 3 foos already, the character dispersion is not even. And then, I forgot about the 2 stone men. So we get those, and then we get a bunch of alerts. So keddril is going to take this fight. Now, I guess the downside to finding the Sand Ruby here is that maybe that dissuades the Earth Crystal a little bit, because you're thinking character checks, I don't need those anymore. Why would I do a 3-minute cutscene check? It could put that off.
Yeah, that could be spicy. And we've got the CPU as the King of Baron today.
I mean, something about computers running a kingdom. I feel like there's a joke there. I'm just not sure what it is.
In my best common voice, I would like to say that next feeling of the future is AI.
There you go. So this CPU is more like a 486 at this point in time. It's going to go down right away. One Quake should do the job. Oh, the magic defense is a little better than you thought, but
Bopped by Rosa.
Bopped by Rosa and that lunar staff, and that takes care of that. So let's see what the character is here.
That is just another idiot. So we know but now that the Sand Ruby is required to finish the seed.
Yeah, that is Rydia number 3. So Penguin8r now has a decision between Odin Spot and Twin Harp, and is at this point you've committed enough to this chain that you kind of have to do Odin Spot next. If that's not the Sand Ruby, oh boy.
Yeah, the keddril only pulling a magma key out though, so that looks like it is kind of the final nail in coffin time.
Yeah,
hard to see the comeback happening now.
Yeah, at this point is likely going to follow Penguin8r, which is exactly what Penguin8r wants, whether he realizes it or not. Going to take on the Doctor of Luggage.
The Sand Ruby anyway.
And there's the Sand Ruby. So
that is Gummo.
No music required. Because there seems to have been an awful lot of music required from watching the races I've managed to catch. There sure seems to be a lot of them. So it's going to cure Tella of his desert fever, and probably head immediately into the Z fight. I guess the only question would be how he plans on doing it. If we see a full reflect, do we see the legendary unicorn in action, or go hybrid?
Yeah, I'll give keddril, doing top of tower, doing both of the other moon checks. Like, he did make some plays that were a little risky and just didn't get anything out of it, unfortunately. So tough to pull up an upset when the seed isn't cooperating with your underdog tactics, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, from where keddril was behind, leaving the giant and checking underground stuff, keddril did make the plays that were required to make up the time. They just didn't pay.
Oh wait, that airship, right? So now we're gonna get.
Oh, we're gonna get the walk of shame through the Toroid forest. Baby. Oh, awesome. So the reason this happens is that if you do the Tower of Zot, it's going to give you the Enterprise, regardless of what flying machine you have parked there. So if you park the Falcon there, and then you get the Enterprise, well, you're taking a 10-second walk of shame through the Toroid forest. And other than that, we got the pass. So, yeah, I guess there's one common free Enterprise question that we now need to ask ourselves.
Is it why is Yang in the back row?
No, that's a question I ask myself on my races. The question, as chat is pointing out, is whose butt are we going to kick today?
Who is butt?
I did that in another async, by the way. I still can't believe that. Back row Yang. Who does that? Only me.
Well, we know one thing's for sure is it will not be Ultros because Natara is never rewarded.
Yeah. Don't tease the octopus, kids. One nice thing about Penguin8r's setup is that since he's sitting at RA1, he can accurately predict his turn order without having to delve into the mystery that is ATB turn orders. So therefore is going to have a very predictable round one. But
no, really, why is Yang in the back row?
Oh, he has Yang in the back row. I thought this was just a joke about making fun of me, but no, he actually has Yang in the back row. I'm guessing he's going to go pure reflect. Crystal, and then Cecilwood Starvale. You have Rosa third because maybe that nuke might be a little fast, so she cast white. Yang then throws out the Silk Web. Rydia nukes, and then telecast Cure 4, and then it's just spells. And hey, it's D. Bowsermus.
Scala, what is the lore on D. Bowsermus? Tell the chat about it.
I mean, said he's Dark Bowser's. That seems legit.
And keddril finally doing the Earth Crystal play, probably a little bit too late.
I'm now that it's in my head, I'm still wondering if when we pull him in, if he's going to say he had back row Yang as an ode to my play-in match. Not my play-in match, my Swiss match.
Yeah, the final boss of Bowser's Inside Story. That is the official story from Scala here. As we see, Penguin getting the reflex tracks on, not even bothering with the Unihorn. I mean, barely on brand at all.
I mean, with how many levels our party has, maybe he's thinking Unihorn is a little too much finesse. I don't know. I was kind of hoping to see it. The idea behind Unihorn is you use Berserk to get you as close to the refill as possible. You then pop a Unihorn, which dispels the Berserk, and then use your spells to finish that off, ideally before Big Bang number 2 happens. But when you have a party at this level, I guess just cast spells and you're fine.
I mean, alternately, you could just let level 61 Cecil do whatever he wants, but hey, whatever works. When you grind it up this high, it doesn't really matter what you do, does it?
Yeah, I mean, a minced Zeromus is still a minced Zeromus. It doesn't matter what your method of mincing is. And we'll probably see that on keddril's side when it decides to get into the Z fight with a ridiculously high-level Cecil armed with an X-Cal.
Rydia does survive that Big Bang. I don't think D. Bowsermus has very much longer to go at this point.
Yeah, I think that was really the only variable in this fight is Rydia going to survive the first full power Big Bang?
I believe we even get a direct here. Yep.
Yeah.
He knows. And that is GG for penguin8r, fending off the challenge of keddril with a official SRL time of 1:44.55.
That is a very
doing some penguin antics as well. How about that?
Oh, look at the trend you've started with your Pete Alonso videos.
I mean, I've been doing that for a long time. I'm glad somebody finally caught on.
So it looks like we are joined, are we, by penguin8r. Congratulations, GG's on your first round.
Thank you.
So I guess thoughts on how the opening game went out. It seemed like a pretty obvious decision to do a D machine grind, but were you considering the idea of running hook early and maybe getting the advantage, hoping something's on the underground?
Definitely thought about it before the darkness. I think once the darkness came up, it was D machine, and with 2 moon objectives, I figured I could go there, maybe get a magma key, and try to do Rivers proud by delaying Fabul, although it didn't quite work out in the end. I had to dip it several times.
You know, I've only got one question, and that is back row and Yang. Tell me about it, man.
I wish that was an homage to Flurry, but it was just the last second I changed my mind about how I wanted to order the party. I was going to have Yang and Cecil on the flanks, but then I flipped it because Rosa can wait with the delay. It's easier for her to go earlier, and then the Silk Web, so I just didn't think about where he was going to be. But I changed Rose so I could get 1 attack in anyway, because I had a free turn on Cecil.
Do you feel more comfortable coming off of Moon, knowing that you have all these fancy save strat setups where, I mean, we saw you already do one to do half tower. We saw one to leave a save at tower in case Pan came up with nothing. Then we saw another save in case the Twin Harp mattered. Like, do you feel like you have more advantage when you're coming out of doing Moon early and you can do all these kind of wacky saves?
I guess I never really thought about the save strats as something too special. I just kind of do it when it kind of needs to happen, which I guess is like you're saying towards the end when you have all these pretty free checks that you need to run around through. I guess I felt like I didn't actually route that well until I came back from the moon. The general idea, I think, was to try to go to places that my opponent would likely check if they had gone underground earlier and not done a grind or not gone to the moon when I did. Because I figured I got my value on the moon, so I wanted to make sure I caught whatever my opponent already found also.
Yeah, keddril, I don't know if you've talked with him or not yet, but keddril did pretty much follow you to the giant. Did not finish the giant, so saved some time there. Kind of was neck and neck on the moon a little bit, and then you left, and he continued clearing the moon, and no value was had, unfortunately.
Yeah, I feel like with the moon, if you get value on half the moon, usually better to leave. If your opponent's also doing the moon, then maybe not as much. But I guess, yeah, I was kind of thinking that he probably didn't do the full moon, but I guess I was wrong on that.
So I guess the only other question I have would be, with 3 remaining key item checks, still pulling off the half tower, were you that concerned with a gauntlet, or just really being true to the brand?
I mean, that's the best time to do it, I think. Because I leave the save there so I can go back. And especially with that gauntlet, I don't want to touch that.
Alright, well, I believe that puts you in round 2. I don't have the bracket handy. I'm not sure.
I'll handle this one, don't worry. So,
okay.
Earlier we saw, it looks like your next opponent will be Error 72, the 18 seed. Do you have any kind of familiarity with that? Do you have any thoughts?
Did that match already happen? Was that today?
Yep.
Okay, well, I didn't see the match to know specifics of how Error is playing on these flags. Error was definitely a strong player in the past tournaments. I think Zeromus Zone 2, he made top 16. I think I played against him. Probably you were in that match too, Flurry. So
yep.
A little scared going into that match. I think we'll have to practice a good amount this weekend. Get prepared for that.
Well, all right. Thank you very much for joining us. And again, GG, congratulations. Definitely a well-played seed.
Thank you.
So keddril is now having acquired the Baron key from the tower, is going to head into Baron, will make short work of the bosses, and acquire that Sand Ruby in short order.
Yeah, this seed has a very short shelf life at this point, especially because keddril happened to, grind that ready up even further. Like, this is like there's not even a chance it's going to get one shot by Big Bang or anything. Like, just snap, snap, snap once we get that Sand Ruby. Although he will have to go to the moon. He did reset out of that pass earlier.
Yep. Well, there's I mean, how often do you actually see Iridia in a free Enterprise seed with a over 2,000 HP? Not very often.
Well, significantly more since we started doing those the giant grinds, made the sirens a little bit more scarce. But yeah, it is pretty rare. Feel like that was definitely a staple of the 2v2s.
Alright, CPU survived this quake as well, but one more punch from Yang. That gets the job done. We'll find not Tella, and then find...
Yep, so keddril at this point has checked every character location except for the giant and the Sand Ruby spot. I don't know if he actually wound up checking Sand Ruby or not, so we may not know that he's about to be in go mode, but I'm sure he'll get the chance to just go there because it's not like he has a whole lot else to do.
Yeah, I mean, and I always do get like a little curious to see other runners take on, especially as it pertains to the character hunt, when you decide to make that giant play. I know, like, that came up in your race, if I remember correct. Was it the character hunt that was behind the giant?
Yeah, there was a Fusuya behind the giant, and going there immediately put me ahead.
Yeah, so that's definitely one of the meta decisions that I'm always interested to see other characters' takes on. Like, at what point does going to the giant versus the one key item that has maybe more checks, but there's also 7 possible spots that are in. So yeah, I like to see the different takes on that. And keddril deciding to not do the giant ends up being the correct play, heads into Kaipo and Tella get. Crystal gets time to head back to the moon and head to Zeromus. So I guess not that much to discuss with the remaining fight here. It's going to be, I guess, does keddril decide to Zerk up Cecil or just go full reflect would be the most pressing question. And even then, I think there is no incorrect answer. They are both going to be super efficient and super fast.
The only pressing thing at this point is how hard keddril's foot will be pressing on D. Bowsermus's butt. So I guess while we have a little chance here as keddril is running to the moon and running down the moon to get to Zeromus, obviously make sure to follow our runners, our commentators. Just follow Flurry. I don't need any more follows. I don't stream anyway. But make sure you follow Snapey, who is our restreamer, doing a great job tonight. And Mecha Link, our tracker, has been spot on, catching all sorts of treasure chest peaks and shops earlier.
And if you did enjoy this race, there will be plenty of more bracket flag. I almost called it Zemazone. Fabul Gauntlet matches, all throughout the week. We have at least one, I believe, every day throughout the remainder of the week. I think we had 4 today, and we got plenty throughout the week. So let's see. Tomorrow, I believe we have 2 matches. Is it 2 or 3? We have 3 matches tomorrow. So yeah,
including the acclaimed. It looks like the Dia Zilch match, which is one that I think was on everyone's radar as the brackets were revealed.
Yeah, there's upset potential abound. I've managed to catch a couple of Lacole Lives Swiss matches and was super impressive. So that being a 3:30 match, nothing to sneeze at. Nabla Force, Icloffer, as Inven mentioned on the selection stream, has not actually lost a Fabul Gauntlet match he played in. So there's going to be some bangers tomorrow. And they will be on, I believe, Free Enterprise and Randomania. So check them out. It'll be pretty good.
Yeah, I believe RPG Lone Break is having a Dragon Warrior marathon of some sort. So, of course, please make sure to give that a spin as well. Very supportive of RPG Lone Break. They've always been a great partner for us for hosting these races, and they put on a lot of great content throughout the year.
Yeah, level 50. So with all that over leveling, Radia still does not have Meteo.
Rip.
But yeah, this Zeromus is going to be about as overmatched as Dallas Green managing a baseball team, and it's going to be pretty quick.
Dave Magadan. That's what I've got for you.
Fair enough.
You ever just sit around and remember guys for no reason? Because that's where I'm at right now.
I mean, one of the radio shows that I listen to on the drive to work will go through a stage where they just talk about all the great, not even great 90s baseball players, but just 90s baseball players, because that's when baseball was still kind of a thing and you would know who Geronimo Baroa was. Whereas ask people now to name baseball players, probably not going to happen. So, yeah.
Remember Rod Beck's mustache?
I do. And he was also a really good reliever. Oh yeah, Zeromus. Hi. Yeah, invent what's baseball. Common question for people your age.
So yeah, throwing that crystal. Yang with a mere 5,800 HP. I don't know if anybody in this fight can contribute, honestly. It's rough.
Grimjaw, we only mentioned that name on July 1st. Thank you very much. And yeah, it looks like I want to say we found a Bacchus somewhere, but I'm not entirely sure we're going to actually use it. I think spells being the most efficient way of a refill skip. Yeah, there's the one Bacchus. Let's see what is the method of destruction of choice today.
Remember when Sammy Sosa filmed the commercial for High Heat, and he was like, "It's so real."
Man, High Heat was so good.
Anyway, the Zeromus fight, looking pretty easy.
I mean, when they put the two commentary together, that's just gonna happen. So yeah, Excal's a pretty good sword. Yeah, it looks like I don't believe used the Bacchus, but the spells are gonna carry their weight. What?
Yeah, even D. Bowser misses worst Big Bang's probably not going to do a whole lot in this fight. Looks like we're doing hybrid strats. We got some berserks coming out. We got plenty of reflex coming, so this might take 2 or 3 more minutes. Probably not 3.
Yeah, I guess what the only pressing question would be, are we going to see another full power Big Bang?
Remember when the All-Star game was declared a tie?
I do.
Whenever somebody asks me about Bud Selig, I just think of him throwing up his hands as they talk to him about it in the stands in that day, and just looking like he feels like the dumbest man ever.
I try to just not think about Bud Selig ever.
Honestly, it might be better than who's running it now.
Yeah. You know what? Yes, you are not incorrect.
Oh, I do love to talk about all the times the Braves got swept, but feels like something that get my mic muted.
All of a sudden, Smeepty's doing solo commentary. Don't know what happened. I mean, Inven, just say the word. I'll cover basketball. He's got football covered.
I don't have to talk about. I don't have to actually stream if I do this, do I? Because that sounds rough.
I guess it depends on what style of show you'd be looking for. So let's see.
Our food is out of MD.
I thought maybe he was looking to see if he had a kamikaze, and we would see a kamikaze finished off. I know there are other people who may be in chat that are in position to use a kamikaze to finish off Zeromus that wouldn't do it on a bracket flag, but I was kind of hoping keddril would be the hero.
I think keddril's put on a dang good show, considering
I mean
all the checks that we've seen.
Yeah, keddril's done really a fantastic job this seed, not only of just like getting through it. First of all, like any full clear 2 hours is pretty good in this flag set.
There we go. GG.
There's the GG. Any time you like looking at the plays that you needed to make in order to actually make up the time, keddril did all of them. It just didn't happen to pay off. So, like, just because something doesn't pay off doesn't mean like you can't admire the strategy and the decision to go for it afterwards.
And we'll see if we can't get him in the chat for a quick interview.
Alright, looks like we are joined by Keddril. GG's.
Ah, thanks.
So I guess the first question I have for you is your approach to when you see the darkness crystal and you haven't found your underground access yet. I like to. What was your plan to kind of take on the next, like, say, maybe 30 minutes of this?
Well, I mean, I guess I'd already done almost everything in the overworld except checked Miss Cave. So that was a bummer. But I just went and did the D-machine grind because I thought that would be the fastest thing to do.
Yeah, it was the decision that both you and penguin8r did decide to make.
Yeah.
The only difference really started when penguin8r did pick up a 5th character from the moon.
Yeah, I was kind of kicking myself with that when I went in and saw Rosa there, and I was like, oh, dang.
Yeah, we weren't sure if you had just forgot or you just wanted to kind of get up there and get that D-machine done quickly.
I just wanted to get it done quick. I think I slowed it down a lot by using Sylph, but that's just the way that it was rolling out, so... And I didn't have to heal, so that was nice.
Yeah, it did streamline your D-machine grind quite a bit, because you didn't have to worry about constantly chucking Cure 2s to make up for the fire spells. You were kind of mitigating that damage right there, so it actually ends up making it relatively time efficient.
Yeah.
So then after you get all the stuff on the moon, and now you're on Earth.
Everything on the moon.
Yep.
Then when I was panicked, because I was like, wow, there's 0 progression on the moon, except, well, I mean, there was the first 3, whatever they're called. And then I was like, okay, well, Mist Dragon has got to be somewhere, and there's only 2 spots I didn't check, and that was first boss in Zot, and then Mist Cave. So I went straight to Mist Cave, and there it was, and then I was kind of kicking myself and kind of not, because I was already endgame levels, so like running through the hook or anything like that really didn't cause me any problems. It was after that I just went and did everything.
Yeah, you did check a lot of things that Penguin did not, and actually, if San Ruby is somewhere else, maybe. I mean, you got a chance here. This was I admired the gambling, even if it didn't pay off for you.
Yeah, I think this is the only time I was really ever wishing to see Tella. So, like, I went to Dwarf, and then I got Earth Crystal, but I knew that there was Tella on San Ruby. Probably I should have just said, well, there's probably going to be a dupe Tella at Earth Crystal, which there wasn't, but had I done that, I would have gotten the pan early on. And then it was like the Sheila one to Tower to Baron to San Ruby that ended up getting that. And I had those items for a while, but I went and dipped in Fey March, and then I did Loot Cave. Well, I exited out of that, but it was there. And that silly Gauntlet on the top of tower was not great.
Oh, but man, if it was there, that would have bailed you out, I think. But,
yeah, it was good. I'm pretty happy with the time, considering.
Yeah, well, thanks so much for joining us. GG, congratulations.
Thank you.
Definitely a very solid run.
Yeah, well, good luck to penguin8r on the rest of the runs. Hope they make it all the way through.
Yep. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Good night. And with that, we will be throwing our raid over to... Oh, we're not throwing a raid over. Oh, we're staying right here because FF4FE is about to start.
That's right. This is Rivers McCown and Flurry 14 on WRPG, bringing you the evening drive for... I can't keep the character up. But we are going to be kicking it to the Final Fantasy 1 randomizer. Stick around if you haven't, or if you're not familiar with the FF1 randomizer. It's really awesome. So yeah, stay tuned. We'll be hitting you guys to that almost immediately. So thanks for checking out the Fabul Gauntlet bracket round match. There will be more throughout the week.